Tim, if you ever go back to management, you have a promise from myself and from Darren that we will help script your apologies for things you've said as a pundit.
Nice, you're reversing out of that one, weren't you, mate?
Beep, beep.
Anything behind me here? Right, listen, I think Ruben handled it brilliantly, Ruben Amorim. When they asked him, he said he was working as a pundit then. Now he's a manager. When you work as a pundit, you cannot say nothing, otherwise you don't get the gigs. And I think he's absolutely right. But you don't try and say nothing for the sake of it. He honestly believed that, Sean Dyche, at the time, when he said it, because he's a straight man, that it wasn't, whatever he said. But I think Ruben handles it brilliantly. And he just says, you know what? I thought we disarmed everyone to say, we don't want that. I mean, the last thing he wants to do is a face-to-face with Sean Dyche.
But I do think, let's not kid ourselves, it's given us a superb subplot to this match.
Absolutely.
And that's what you want. When you go on podcasts, and we do have a podcast called Culture right now, football people talk football and they speak honestly. And Sean has said for many, many years, I deserve a big club. Now he's got a big club. Now he's got the resources. If he wins, it's a vindication of what he said on the podcast. Let's not kid ourselves. Even though Amorim has been really gracious about it, you can bet your boots it's the best team talk he could possibly have imagined, because he will take a lot of satisfaction from those 3 points.
Well, he was right. Whatever Sean Dyche said, it was right at the time.
Yeah.
And it's up to Ruben to try and prove people wrong. And I think he's on his way to be able to do that. He won 3 on the spin.
Yeah.
They go to Forest, they win 4. They go to Tottenham next week, they win 5. The guy gets his haircut. Everyone's happy.
I'm waiting for the haircut, man.
They're looking up
I'm
the
waiting
division,
for it.
and he's the genius.
Yeah.
At the time, it wasn't working for him. It was a disastrous run. I was coming in here saying I was surprised he'd been so bad. He can... Lots of other managers before, and he can thank the other managers who have failed before him, because they could not continue with that process of keep sacking managers. So they got away with it for a year. He's below par at the moment. He's well below par. He's not even par to what is expected, but nor was Sir Alex Ferguson before he won that League Cup.
See,
and look what happened after that.
Well, these are the stats, Darren. Before I let you finish that, just a year of Ruben Amorim. So much as he's going to be motivated because of those comments, he'll also be motivated because it's a special milestone as well. 36 matches that he's taken charge of. They've won 12, drawn 7 and lost 17. Darren, you can finish your points and then also just tell us your verdict on the year of Ruben Amorim.
Well, the most striking aspect of those numbers is the bottom one. The longest winning streak for a superpower in world football is just 3. And that's the current run. You mentioned it before. If they were to win, it would be the longest streak for something like 18, 19 months. For a Manchester United manager, it's not acceptable. Now, you can work on the basis that they wanted to come out of that boom or bust era of bringing in a manager, investing in his players, things don't go well, you sack them. You've got to stick by one eventually. I have to confess, even though a lot of my colleagues might not disagree, I'm not that enthused by this run. They're very unconvincing wins against teams you would expect Manchester United to beat. And even then, for example, in the Brighton game, they were clinging on at the end when Brighton finally turned up. Yeah. And they will always give you opportunities. A year of Ruben Amorim, it's not been great, I can't lie.
Yeah, United fans are loving life at the moment. They're not going to be listening to anything you guys are saying right now. They want an Anfield. Come on. They're enjoying life right now.
The context of the Anfield win, and I will let you move on, I do promise, but if you look at Liverpool, what they are on the worst run of form since 1953. So it's easy to get excited about that win, but actually, were you beating the real Liverpool? No, you weren't. You will take everything that you're given, but you've got to be realistic. United are a long, long way away from where they should be.
Well, since you mentioned...
The target hasn't changed. Things, of course, looking a lot better for Manchester United out now, certainly than they did a few weeks ago. For you, what do you think is achievable?
I think Europe is achievable. It seems strange talking about Man United, talking about maybe top 6 and not even thinking about the top 4. I know he said it will be difficult, but it is still Man United. They still have spent a lot of money and they still have gone out and got a top manager from another league. So it's about time they started looking better, let's put it that way. I know you ain't going to like that, but it's even seeing other attacking players that are contributing, and it's not just left to Bruno Fernandes to pull the team through all the time, I think is a good sign for everybody, and hopefully it's something that they can build on.
But they've had Matheus Cunha and Bryan Mbeumo, who have just, as expected really, because they both came from Premier League clubs, but they've hit the ground running.
Yeah, they have. I think it was clever from the recruitment team to get players in that are already proven in the league, and I think obviously Mbeumo has done fantastic. But I look at Cunha, and you can half see how good he is in terms of where Wolves are now, because I think how much Wolves miss him, and how much he dug them out last year and dug them out of messes, and he's gone there, and yeah, he took a while to get his first goal, but he's got it now, and I expect him to kick on. And two fantastic footballers, intelligent footballers that I think will do really well at Man United.
You were watching a VT earlier, and you just go, oh, look at that finish.
I mean, he's just used the defender and just guided it round in the corner. But I think what you get with them two as well is, let's take away their attacking threat and obviously the threat that they can score goals, but they got pace, they got power, they got strength, they work hard off the ball defensively as well, which is what Man United needed further up the pitch as well, because defensively they looked pretty open last year. But even, I mean, that there from Bruno Fernandes, the intelligence and awareness there, followed by the finish, this is what you should be seeing from Man United week in, week out, is that they should have attacking players that are producing moments like that. And like I said, not just, even though Bruno was outrageous dummy there, you should be seeing multiple players for a club like Man United doing that week in, week out.
Talking about all their attributes as players, do they also have the right character and personality to succeed at a club like Manchester United?
It looks as that way, yeah. Obviously, it's difficult to say from the outside, but it certainly looks that way. I think how they dealt with the transfer situation at the time was really good. They committed to Man United. They was really keen to go to the club, and this is a Man United that is struggling in terms of recent years. So not every player will show that commitment, especially Mbeumo, was at a good Brentford side that were doing really well. So they committed very early on and said, this is the club that I want to be at, this is a manager I want to work for, and I want to be part of this rebuild. And I think that goes a long way to becoming a fan's favourite. One
player I want to talk to you about while you're here is Mason Mount. It feels like he's one of the sort of quiet success stories of Ruben Amorim's tenure, maybe, because we're talking there about some players who joined Manchester United having played in the Premier League before, in Mbeumo and Cunha. Mason Mount did that by coming from Chelsea, but it just felt like he couldn't hit the ground running because of his injury problems. But Ruben Amorim has been so vocal about how he's loved working with him. I think Mason Mount was maybe the first person he ever met at Carrington in the gym, because it was during an international break when players were away on international duty, some were on holiday. But he's talked so highly about his attitude and what he's like, yes, as a player, but as a person as well. What can you speak to about that? Because you obviously know him really well.
I'll just echo those words. He's a player and a lad. He's not a kid anymore, but someone you can't speak highly enough, because the enthusiasm he shows for the game of football, loves his teammates, a real good teammate, tactically so astute. You ask him to carry out certain things in a game as a manager from a tactical point of view, he follows it and affects the rest of the group. And he's just been so unlucky with injuries that before the move to Man United, it was maybe in his last season at Chelsea, he picked up a few niggles, but before that, and I'm talking going back to when he was 14, 15-year-old kid, he was always available for training, always wanting to play in every game, every minute of every game. And like I said, he comes out to train as if like it's his last day of training, or he's like on trial every day. But I just want him to get a decent run in a team where he can show the quality that he has as well, because you're talking about someone who was 2 times in a row Chelsea Player of the Year in the year they won the Champions League. Do you know what I mean? He was a top player, and it doesn't surprise me hearing the Manchester United manager speak so highly of him, because I think if you speak to anyone that's worked with him, that's how they talk.
Do you feel like he's getting back to that good place?
Yeah, and that's all I want for him, really. I mean, I messaged him at the beginning of the season when he picked up a niggle and was just like, don't tell me you're out again. And he was like, no, thankfully it ain't that bad. Okay. But that's all I want, is for him to stay injury-free, and I think his quality will come to the surface.
What do you think is success for United this season?
Yeah, I agree with what Ruben Amorim said. I think he, as well as they've done in these last few weeks, and they've got the wins now, I think they've still got a long way to go. And I think I do think they're good enough to finish in the European spots. I think Champions League will be too far for them this season. They are still rebuilding, but they're building a good squad that Man United fans want to see. I think it's so difficult as a Manchester United manager because you need results and you need to do it in a certain manner as well. So he's having to deal with that, but I think he's going a long way to that with what's happened the last few weeks, and like I say, a long way to go, but they're on the right tracks.
Forest and Spurs before the next international break. Can they make it to 5 Premier League wins on the spin?
I think they can do. I'm still not convinced that they're sort of like round this corner and now they're becoming a bit of a force. I know that they've gone on a little bit of a run, but I still see them in games and just think that they're not dominating. They're not. I think sometimes they also look open still. I mean, I know they've done better of late, but they're definitely winnable because, let's get it right, Forest are not having a great year. But I think Spurs might be a little bit of a different game. But with Man United, like quite a few of the teams in the Premier League this year, you're not quite sure what you're going to get. Yeah. So we could get the Man United from last season very quickly against Forest, and then you go, all of a sudden we're back to where we was. But they'll certainly be trying to build on the confidence that they've created in the last 3 games.
I get what you're saying. It feels like there's almost sometimes just a banana skin around the corner waiting somewhere.
Yeah, because we've seen it for such a long time that they haven't been producing or performing, that we're like, OK, 3 games is OK, and it's an improvement on what you've seen so far. But I'm still not fully convinced with the performances.
Okay. Well, Manchester United players will be hoping to avoid a scare at the City Ground tomorrow. But as it is Halloween, well, do they like scary films? Here's the answer.
What's your favourite horror film?
Scary movie.
Oh, The Shining?
The Shining.
Yeah, perfect. You don't really have one?
But scary movies. Is it Hell?
Yeah, definitely.
Jeepers Creepers.
What's your favourite horror film?
French is Chicken Up the
Who in the current squad would be most likely to survive if they were in a horror film?
Likely to survive?
Yeah.
Would be likely not to survive?
Who would be likely not to survive?
I'll say Josh.
Josh, yeah. Both. Yeah, for both. Who's the least likely to be scared, do you think?
Casemiro.
Question, I think Joshua. To survive? Me. Maybe I might because you can run.
Because he can run fast. Thank you. Cheers.
Yeah, probably me.
Yeah? Same reason? Because he can run really fast? Yeah?
That's a fair answer. I don't watch scary films because I hate them. But have you got a favourite horror film?
No, I'm a little bit like you.
Oh, yeah.
They ain't for me scary.
Mark?
Yeah, I watched Hocus Pocus last night with the kids, and that's about
Okay, that's about it. Okay, maybe I'll watch that later.
For anyone to understand that, today the answer is different from 3 weeks ago, so it's important to understand that. So it's one of the biggest honors of my life to be here, and I want to continue here for many years.
Ruben, it's only been 2 matches so far for Nottingham Forest under Sean Dyche. You've obviously played him before when he was manager of Everton. Do you know exactly what to expect from his team on Saturday?
More or less. I watched the last game. Was one of the first ones here that we won, and we were so lucky in that game. You look at the result, was not that result. Should not be that result. I watched against Porto. I watch against Bournemouth. The style of play is similar, different characteristics. I watched one game that we did in pre-season with Sporting, so to try to understand how he played in that game, and it's similar. He can change some characteristics of the players, and then with the talent that they have, especially with Gibbs White, Anderson, Odoi. Very good players, so we need to be prepared for a different game against Brighton. We had space to play. We are not going to have that space, and you need to understand that we are not being the same team away and at home. So we need to improve the way we control the environment. Every tackle is a big moment for the opponent fans. So we need to play better away. We are prepared for a very tough match.
Afternoon, Ruben. Ahmad and Brian and Mbeumo look like they've struck up a really good relationship on and off the pitch. What have you seen with that? But also, how do you plan without them in a month's time when they go to AFCON?
We'll have time to suffer with that. We are going to struggle a little bit, but we already knew. It's going to be an opportunity, because when I watch the trainings, there are players, they should be playing. but it's hard with one game to take some players from the team because they are doing well also during the training in the games. So other players are going to have the opportunity to help us. They are understanding the way we want to play. So if we are improving on that, the change of characteristics are not going to change the idea or the momentum of the team. But let's use Ahmad and Brian in these games, and then we'll see in January.
I'm not sure if you're aware, but a few months ago in May, when it was a bit more difficult here, Sean Dyche made some comments that if he was the United boss, he would win more games playing 4-4-2. He also said you needed time to implement your philosophy. Are we seeing that now, and what did you make of those comments?
First of all, maybe it's true. If we play in the 4-4-2, we won more games, but I always said that I have a way of playing that is going to take a while, and then in the future is going to be better. So we don't know that. Then I can look at Sean Dyche as a manager and then as a pundit. If you are a pundit and you don't say very strong things, I don't want to watch you. I'm the same with so I can understand that it's completely different job. And I know that Sean Dyche is really smart and he knows how to play the game. And he also understands that one thing is when we are seeing the game and talking about the game. Other thing is to coach a team. So I understand that. I have nothing to say. I just want to win the next one.
Yeah, I've just made a note actually. So we've got a couple of knocks. Angus Gunn, who's not currently playing, but obviously part of the squad, he's opened up his knee ligaments. Woody's going to be possible for the Leeds game. He won't make this one. We'll have to see how that goes. Ola's making good progress. Zinchenko's a no at the moment, unfortunately, a bit longer than we thought. Back was still a no, but making good progress. So, yeah, unfortunately, I have to read them off there so I don't forget them, you know. And so we're hoping no more occurs, that's for sure. A few knocks, but nothing other too serious at the moment.
Okay, and in terms of the players you have got available, the work you've been doing, you said after that Bournemouth defeat they'd have to put some hard work in. I actually saw on Tuesday they were doing a bleep test. I don't know kind of what you found from that. And
yeah, it's not really a story now. You know, all it is I explained it at all my clubs that I've been at, you know, going back to Watford even, that I've got loads of data on a test that we've done many times. So it's not an exact thing. It doesn't mean you're super fit or not, but it gives us a baseline to work from. So we introduced that to the players just because we had a window of opportunity. Obviously, it's difficult when there's so many games. And just to get my measurement, because you don't want to always go on game data, because we had a big shift in game data from the Porto game to Bournemouth. But you've got to go on your eyes and your feel, but equally it's nice to have something that you know the stats and the facts of. So, yeah, there's work to be done, but a few of them shone and a few of them did really well, which proves their baseline is there, and some there's work to be done, but that's quite standard for coming into a new situation.
I spoke to Morgan Gibbs-White this week. He was saying that he was very much welcoming the demands you're putting on them. He is somebody who probably attracts a lot of focus because he wears the armbands. There was the bid from Spurs in the summer, etc. How do you get the best out of somebody like him? How important is it you get the best out of him?
Well, I certainly can assure you we're not just trying to get the best out of him, we're trying to get the best out of everyone. You know, we're trying to add our attention to detail, what we choose to use, what we think is relevant to game planning and game performance. I must say he's a terrific pro. He comes in with a smile, he wants to work, he wants to, you know, he's infectious with what he does. And we've got a number of them, and it is beginning to grow. You know, I think we're trying to get everyone to open their minds to what we want to do and to accept some of the hardship of it, because there is some hard days. We want to make sure that we can get them up to speed, or our version of it.